Yeah. I found myself sitting there, I was like,
I made it to here.
that's okay, I'll fill in the back for you, it's all good.
Taneytown Comprehensive Plan meeting will come to order. Would you please stand for the pledge of the flag? Good evening, everyone. I'd like to welcome here to the Comprehensive Plan Update meeting. We'll give you opportunities to come forward and speak whenever the occasion occurs. Just be sure to list your name on the paper that's there and tell us your address. Let the records reflect the members that are present here this evening. I'm looking for, well, actually, the members should have received the minutes. August the 29th, August the 19th, and October the 21st. Amended, so it may be different from what you originally had.
The agenda was amended, Mr. Chair, to include the two meeting minute approvals up on the top for the last two meetings. And if the commission, totally up to you, if you all would like to amend the agenda. If not, it could wait till next month to approve those minutes.
Start with October August the 19th. Corrections or additions to those minutes? Okay. Hearing any? Any motion for exception? Approval?
I'll make a motion. Approve.
Discussion? Those in favor of approval, August 19th, 2025 minutes, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Carried. Thank you. Very confused. October 21st. Any comments on those?
I make a motion, we accept the minutes from August 21st. I'm sorry, October 21st.
Your second to that?
Second.
Second by Bill. Further discussion? Favor of that motion for October 21st, 2025, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Nay. Carried unanimously. Thank you, folks. Moving on to this evening's agenda, open forum on questions and comments regarding the draft plan. I'm not sure if everybody had a chance to go through. I know I did. 2 pages, I think Harry has a couple pages. Each page, each item, or would we want to compile those? Would we want to submit those to Andrew, compile them and forward them to?
I was gonna say, some of it we probably ought to like discuss as opposed to just forwarding it along, because at that point, it's just one person's opinion. And I'm fully prepared to have my opinion shut down, so.
We could also sort of go down the line and have each person share their comments or edits. And, we may find that, one person may have a comment that's shared by 3 people on the commission. So that may shorten the length of comments as we go down the line. That would be one approach we could use.
I'll have to go through my page by page, my notes are on each page.
Craig and Emily, you okay with that?
Yeah, that's fine. I think we're just looking forward to be most productive tonight. So if there's, there were probably some, punctuation errors, spelling, some minor factual things that probably aren't substantive to the plan. So I'll leave it up to you. If you want to go over all those things, we certainly can. But I think to be probably more focused, if there are, policy issues, things of that nature that we want to talk about, let's focus on that for tonight.
I was gonna say, my stuff's all substantive. I didn't even get into grammar because I'm not good at it.
Okay. So that's, yeah, so we can just focus on those bigger issues. I think we'll be better served tonight.
Harry, why don't you start out, and are you starting from like page 1 and going that way, or how's your
I
question?
pretty much started from page 1
Okay.
and kept on trucking.
So that's how we can all follow along that way.
But I'll skip ahead to page 10, because that was the first place I found anything real that I had an issue with, not a problem necessarily.
Okay, what about page 8 on the 12 goals, key goals?
That's,
You want to go through?
that's where I was.
Each page, or, because you're going to go back,
Yeah, and I hate to go back. Yeah, I think we better off go for page by
page by
page.
page, I think.
Got notes page by page.
So on page 9, we talk about the SALDO code. I didn't see that defined anywhere.
Well,
SALDO code.
I had the same question, and when you get halfway through the draft, it spells it out.
Okay, I didn't remember seeing it.
I had that too. It's
So,
on page 99.
Oh, I didn't get to page 99.
Okay, it's on page 99, the definition of
Yep. So,
SAYDO or something,
SAL
SOLDO.
SALDO, okay. Then down at the bottom of page 9 on the right-hand side, we talk again about the Double Pipe Creek Watershed Characterization Plan. So when, I guess I wasn't tracking that there's a written plan. Is there a written plan, or is it just something that we've talked about over the years? So when I see plan, I'll think there is a written plan. So is that true, or?
Double Pipe Creek.
Double Pipe Creek Watershed Characterization Plan.
That in the last paragraph there on the right?
Yes.
Yeah, on page 9.
I mean, I don't,
There is a written plan that we used for some general data gathering, which is why it's referenced here.
okay. If there's a plan, I'll take your word for it. Yep. Then I'm on page 10, and so I'll let,
I was gonna say, and I think we a few of us probably caught the fact that, yeah, it's not 12 visions anymore. So that's gonna have to get restructured.
Yes. Eight principles, I
Yeah,
think
the
now.
8 principles, or what they're calling it.
Yeah, I started on page 8.
so it is the plan to convert it over to,
Yes.
okay. Good.
In general, on page 12, I would really love some kind of map framework to make downtown the economic and cultural heart of the town. Just because it doesn't seem like that's where we are at the moment. So and it's not necessarily an arrow thing, but it just, it's another one of these where I was talking about where we stayed out a lofty goal, but we've got no way to get to it.
So what are you really asking for?
Say it again, please.
In 5 or less words.
We need a plan.
Okay. Downtown, continue.
comma, downtown. That's 5 words. But it's, like I said, we put out goals, and I would like to see somewhere where where we actually have at least a framework of how to get to the goal, because that's part of what the state says we need to have in a comprehensive plan. So that's, maybe that needs to be workshopped a little bit. It's probably not a tonight thing, because we're going to be running a lot of stuff. But, go ahead.
So on page 12, as far as the vision goes, I was actually okay with the write-up there. I thought that met what we wanted to say.
So it sounds like you're looking for something, a graphic representation of what that area would be? Is that what you're looking for?
No, what I'm looking for, just in general, and it can be in another place in the plan, is how do we achieve, at least a framework of how do we achieve this?
So some more specific recommendations.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and it doesn't have to be well, first we buy this person's property, and then we do this. It doesn't have to be anywhere close to that. It's just, we need to encourage this revitalization, we need to do this, and just a little blurb of how are we getting from point A to point B, because currently it's a cloud.
Comments on page 50 in regarding to that? Do you have any notes
On which?
on page 50?
50? Hold on, let me get to page 2.
So I think what you're asking for, Harry, I had a note right at the beginning, and I just wrote that the comprehensive plan is a list of good ideas and general guidelines, but it's not anything specific on what we could do. So there are a couple of them that you could kind of say is specific in the implementation, but really it's not what I call a plan where it says.
Well, but I'm going off of what the state says a comprehensive plan needs to be, and it
Okay.
needs to have some kind of roadmap other than we want to go to Montana.
And I think the one we saw down in, who went to Brunswick? The one we saw down in Brunswick, they showed us their comprehensive plan, and that did have pretty specific projects listed in that plan. Okay, yep.
Next page.
I'm good till
Yeah,
15.
So, sorry on that. So
Keep
on
going,
that,
keep
I mean,
talking.
I'm not sure that means we need to rewrite everything. Maybe it's an appendix or something that you put in the end that has more specific direction on what we're going to do. And then,
Well, I would imagine it would be somewhere else, because this is the spelling out of the goals, but I would imagine somewhere else in the plan it needs to say, and this is how we're doing it.
yeah, okay.
Yeah, I think that's, somewhere else in.
Yeah, I don't think it needs to be here,
No, I think it'll,
because this is kind of like the beginning of, this is our idea, and then then we've got 100 pages of, this is how we make the ideas work.
On page 13, we talk about a walkable Taneytown, and further back, we talk about ADA. I just think, from what I've seen, in my opinion, over the last 5 years, a lot of meetings, the town isn't on board with that, and I think we all need to get together.
Maybe some of that case is because we allow, when new projects come in, we require easements if there's not a sidewalk.
right.
So I think we are going in the right direction, if that's kind of leading what you're,
Harry, what's your example?
Just means we need to remove,
I can give you 4 or 5, but I don't think you want to hear them.
we
I
need to-
mean, I know when the box factory went in and Vapco, sidewalks were said no because they couldn't afford to go across the bridge. I know the town was gonna railroad the park in without a sidewalk until Mr. Parker stopped that. It's just a lot of examples over the last 5 years where sidewalks and ADA didn't seem to matter.
sounds like we need to review our plan more often, refresh our memories.
Where everybody get on the same page. Just my opinion.
okay?
So just a comment for everybody. So with the definition of affordability, I know we've had a lot of discussions on that. So actually, by my estimate here, and I know interest rates, everything changes, but based on the median income in this area here, that would equate to a $250,000 to $300,000 home, which is, I don't think we have any townhouses that are that low. So when we talk about townhouses, I don't think that fits the affordability numbers. So just a comment.
Greg, comments on that?
So, there's different ways to achieve, make housing affordable. I mean, you can do it through some code amendments too, that, a certain percentage of homes in a particular development might have to meet that affordability index. So, if you want to go to that level, that's a policy decision by, legislating affordable housing rather than just letting the market dictate.
Yeah, I think well, I don't know. It seems like when we talk about affordable housing, it means buying a house. But affordable housing can also be renting a place, right? You can rent a building.
Sure.
Rent.
Yep, absolutely.
Okay.
One thing on the affordable housing, I don't have it specifically noted here until probably later somewhere, but we use different definitions for affordability in different places in the plan.
Yeah, we did. I have that note later on. Yes,
Yeah, because up here, it's got it with 30% of household income for households earning less than 60% of the area median income. In other places, it just cuts it off at 30% of a household's income. So
probably in the housing section. Or
it probably is,
something.
but yeah, but that, I noticed that we seem to be using different definitions, or at least not the full definition, in other places in the plan.
So page 13 and page 71 are the two, at least
Need
two
to
of the
be more
definitions.
consistent with our data.
Yeah,
Just
just,
definition, yeah. Yep.
and I would say pick the one that's on 13, because that's the more defined one.
I'd agree.
Yeah, and we'll go with the one that mirrors the state's definition.
I got 15. We've got it as the population is 7,200 when we're reading 8,400, and this isn't in a table that's pulling from a particular source. So I would think we would want to go with the most updated information.
Catch that one.
I noticed a couple places through here where the tables aren't consistent. Some of them were based on 2022. I mean, they're already 3 to 4 years behind. Can we get any more up-to-date figures?
So for the population data, for things like that, all we have is 2020. Some of the other plans, like the water resources, a lot of those plans, what we have is from 2022, so that's what's available to us, and we don't have anything more recent to pull from.
I think we touched on this a couple months ago as far as the availability of data, like through the American Community Survey versus the decennial census, and trying to have some consistency with those data points. So we, for example, we get population estimates monthly based on building permits, but then other statistics throughout the plan, we don't have that level of current information. So it's kind of a question of, we could update the population number or the number of households, because we get that every month, but we don't get like the more detailed demographic information except through other sources that aren't updated as frequently. So it's kind of like trying to have some consistency with where the measurement points are. Like rather than using, the population that we got from the county this month, but then when we talk about the, demographic breakdown or something, the most recent thing we have is gonna show, a population of 7,000 broken out a certain way. It's hard to be consistent, then we're gonna have inconsistencies by having like updated data in one spot, but more older data that might be the most recent available in another spot.
We did add a caveat to the beginning of the demographics section, just saying, you know, we have this updated number from the county and this is what it is, and this is why the numbers are different.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, we've added that a couple places throughout just to make sure it's really clear, you know, why we're using some different data.
Yeah, because otherwise, according to a couple of those tables, we're already at 2040
Right.
numbers. So,
Right.
So that's why I think, yeah, it's good because that way we can actually plan based off of reality as opposed to 1,200 less people.
Right. And some of the other data is still useful. I mean, the percentages are not going to be drastically different of a lot of things, and it still does give you a snapshot of what things were like relative as recently as we can get them. So that's, you know, part of why we wanted to keep that in as detailed as we did, even though some of our population data doesn't quite match.
I'm okay, I mean, I think we should use the latest data possible, but understand that time keeps rolling on. So I think if you reference when you're like, we had 7,000 on there, maybe say estimate from whatever year. Or
Right.
Okay.
I got a 16.
Yeah, 16. The only thing I had on 16 was, I really like maps, but I wish it was a lot bigger for me to look at, but I don't know if, maybe a fold-out section of maps at the back or something, but
Dan, would it be beneficial to have that on a separate page?
I would think so. At least a full size or,
Sure.
yeah,
Yeah, we can do that for sure.
yeah.
I don't know if it's defined elsewhere, but I would like, we talk about investment in parks, streetscapes, and public facilities, our priorities. Is there a way we can define streetscapes? Because that seems like a really broad term.
Sure. Yeah, we can definitely add a definition for that.
Okay.
So I guess I just had a comment that, when we read that first paragraph there, that we're definitely talking about focusing on downtown. So I think that's okay. I mean, I think that is a focus, but I think people at the other end of town may not think that's the most important thing. So just a comment.
We do generally need to make sure that we're including the rest of the town. Because we'll get to that on some of the walkability stuff.
I don't have it marked, but I do have a note about page 18. There was no mention about the Civil War and Antrim 1844 in any part of this. Reason, or is that somewhere else that I missed? 'Cause that is part of Taneytown.
Yeah, we do. I think we mentioned Antrim as a registered historic site in the historic section of the plan, but we can definitely add some more detail about that.
Have something like that is a good draw.
Mhm.
I got a couple for 18.
Okay.
First, is there, and this is more for us, is there an actual plan for the expansion of trails and greenways?
Yes.
Okay.
Bike and pedestrian master plan at the county level that we contributed to for the Taneytown portion.
That is a whole separate plan, isn't it?
Yes.
We had to sign, we signed off on that, didn't we?
Well, right, just like we do with the annual report, we sign off, we certify that the data there is accurate for the Taneytown portion.
There's a goal in here for outdoor seating on the downtown sidewalks. Do we have enough room for that? It doesn't seem like we do.
Some cases we do.
Okay, I mean, I've seen very few where we have space for that.
Look closer.
I've looked at all of them, so, Because there's another one coming up later that, where they actually show a picture of an example of a walkability, and it's twice the size of our stuff.
We went through this years ago, didn't we
Yes,
not?
yeah, we did. Yep. But we are limited, I agree with you.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
We
we're
are
physically limited in downtown. That's the main point, I think. And that's kind of where I'm coming from with some of the goals. It's like, okay, we have physical limitations. How do we get some of these goals that are in here to be accomplished?
As Ollie was pointing out, we had some discussion on this years ago when our downtown business district code required that everything be done within the building. And outdoor seating was one of the things that was discussed, during that period when we updated the code. And it wasn't so much that people are necessarily going to want to sit, out in front of, cafe or bakery today with 18-wheelers rolling by, every 2 minutes and such. But it was more enabling that, there might be a site that doesn't come to mind immediately that might be conducive to something like that. So if somebody thinks they, can do it and it'll improve their business operation, we wanted them to be able to. So,
But we still have the ADA requirements. If you put a bench there, you still have to meet
right,
that
right. We still
requirement.
need to maintain, a certain distance for the sidewalk, and there are allowable pinch points for certain distances, but overall, right, we need to maintain a minimum width of area for pedestrian passage.
I'm on 22. That's my next.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I'm on 23, so.
Back to 20 on our goals again, just the 12 visions and all that. So
I was gonna say, the categories are different from the visions and goals, though, so.
they'll have to
They'll,
split them.
the 10 planning categories are cool. It's it's organizing it under the 8 visions.
Yeah, so number 2 there under smart growth, we say we're going to take advantage of compact building design, and we talk about encouraging compact, walkable communities and stuff. So I'm okay with a compact building design, but I'm not necessarily sold on compact communities where the buildings are, where there is a downtown, everything's close together. And we've had lots of discussion about, how the facilities are, you run less pipe when the houses are close together and stuff like that. But I'm still not sold on compact communities. So I don't think we should be building any more of those. But so I don't know if that's what that meant to you guys or not when you read it, but I guess I'm not really recommending a change right now, just a comment for the team.
I have a quick question on that, if I could. When you think compact community, is there something in town that resonates for that term? Are we talking downtown? Are we talking Meads Crossing? Are
For
we
me,
talking
it's-
Carroll Vista?
Yes, for me, downtown's okay. I'm not really thrilled of the way Carroll Vista or Meads Crossing came out.
But would you consider them the compact
I
community?
would consider those compact
Okay, thank
communities,
you.
yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Just on 23, I thought the 4 goals, I thought that was covered well.
Oh, because I had a question on 3. Basically, how we pulling off some of this? How are we doing barriers between traffic and pedestrians? How are we slow or minimal vehicle traffic? In order to get from, say, my house to here, it's most of a mile walk, since I do it on the regular. And I'm walking next to 140 most of the way. And
But you follow the trail of the Amish. You take the back streets.
I was gonna say, but if there's a car or two that's trying to go over the Roberts Mill Bridge, I've got nowhere to go.
You're right.
Yeah. But I think a lot of Harry's questions, they're similar to, when I read this the first couple of times and everything, I'm like looking for something more specific in a plan. But I believe what this this is guidelines. So as you said, maybe we're supposed to have more detailed plans, but I don't really see anything detailed in any of this. It's guidelines for like people to read to get us all on the same page, but.
Well, but that's, like I said, that's having just gone through the state training for all of these and seeing all of their definitions for comp plans, we've got a cloud in the middle where we should have at least some guidelines to get from point A to the goal.
Roadmap.
Well, I'm saying we're lacking roadmap. We've got a destination, but we don't have a roadmap of anywhere, of how to get to a lot of these places. Zoning map's wrong,
What page?
24.
Yeah.
I pulled up the zoning map from 2019, and there's commercial areas that are missing, and some other things that that we need to reconcile. The one that struck me immediately was Hoffman property. And the fact that on every other zoning up through 2019, the front half is commercial. And this one has residential all the way to 140. There's other commercial areas that that are listed as either other on this plan or something like that. So unless we had some fairly decent zoning changes, which we might have had a few, but I don't think we've had that many. We need to double check the zoning, because this map happens a number of places in the plan, and it's a little misleading based off of what we've got already.
I will
Yeah,
point
we'll
out
double
this
check
is
that.
land use and not zoning, but I think your points still carry because the zoning map essentially mirrors the land use map. So the errors that you pointed out are legitimate.
Yeah, I was gonna say, most
regardless,
of it was the difference between residential and commercial.
Right.
Whereas you've got the growth areas on here. You've got where you want it to be residential or industrial in the growth area, and then other. But yeah, so that's where I was going, was that there's.
I thought there were a few things that didn't look right, but I didn't dive into it as much as you did.
I think we do have some mapping updates to work on.
Yeah.
Next number?
Yep, so on 25, actually, just for my education here, we in the first paragraph, we state that, is that where it is? We talk about ag preservation limits groundwater recharge calculation. So I guess I thought if it was an ag preservation, that would actually be a good thing as far as water recharge. Is that not true, or?
I saw that too, but I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, I think the context of what that was the city cannot grow because of the limitations of ag pres that sort of confine the boundaries for expansion of the municipal boundaries. But in what you were mentioning, Commissioner Myers, that would be correct for groundwater recharge, ag pres land, which you cannot build on ever. I think there would be, and I believe it's also mentioned in the county about working out some type of an agreement to be able to use recharge credits or recharge from those properties, but that would be in partnership with the county.
That would make sense. Okay, cool, thank you. I'll have to read that again.
Okay.
Yep, so there any other, in the bottom right, the defining terms, if you read the compact building design, I just would encourage everybody to read that and see if that's what we really want.
Pushing towards higher density again.
And
That's what we're kind of going back to Mr. Garner, 1 acre brick house.
yeah, but,
Don't ever forget that.
but what's written here is, it's not wrong. It's all true. But I mean, if you put the houses closer together, you got less roads, you got less pipes. I got it. That is true 100%. You can't argue with that.
But they don't
that's
give
not
the
nec-
other side of
But
that.
that's not necessarily what I want for a.
The other
future
side of that
development.
argument, you have to have more police, you get less taxes on those smaller houses.
Yeah.
So it's both sides, yeah.
Yeah. We just want to make sure if that's what we want to do, then we should leave it there. If that's not, maybe we want to consider changing something, that's all.
Yeah, and I guess the important thing to recognize there too is we're not necessarily promoting higher overall you know, gross density, right? So it's the same number of units, it's just in a more compact form.
Right, and that's, I don't like that.
Yeah, okay, yeah, and that's fine. So that's what, if that's the case, right, that's what we should probably work out, change those statements with regards to any kind of policy or direction.
Yeah, I'm only one person, so anyway. Picture.
I'm getting there.
I think when we talk about there being another side to that, that it's, and it's true, it's not all about infrastructure. If it was, it would be more of a slam dunk, if that's the only thing that we were worried about. But as Barry pointed out, you've got potentially more police officers, that may be related to like a specific development. If we put 1,000 new people on, in one subdivision, then we need to hire, say, another police officer or something. And that's more calls for service. That's more calls that the front office handles and so on. Also, there may be a quality of life issue that maybe people feel crammed in and they don't have other options. But I think the piece we also need to think about is the long-term cost of providing the services and maintaining the infrastructure as well. So I don't think there's any magic bullet here that hits everything. But I think that when we say, we need to consider the other side, we also need to consider the long-term cost of providing services and maintaining infrastructure and the impact of that on, perhaps a future tax rate and things like that. So, as I often say, a lot of folks around here are tired of hearing me say it, but, the city can do pretty much whatever the people want as long as they're willing to pay for it. And, oftentimes there's that disconnect between what people expect and what they're willing to pay for. So again, in considering all the aspects of it, there's also a price tag involved, for future generations.
26,
I just had a question for myself
for what?
on 26.
First, let me make my statement on
Please do.
26. This was towards what you were saying. The implementation steps I thought was good, the way they broke it down. Now, what did you find?
No, no, I don't have a problem. I had a question in goal 2. We talk about design guidelines. Are those enforceable?
It had been.
Okay, I mean,
Am I not right, Jim?
The current design standards only apply to a small portion of the city.
Right.
And they are enforceable. There is some subjectivity to them, so it's, I think they probably could be strengthened if we wanted to see a different result. But they are enforceable, it's
okay,
just.
that was my only question. I didn't have a problem with them. I was just questioning if that was an enforceable thing.
I just want to put credit where credit was deserved here.
Oh, yeah, yeah. I
That was good.
I thought they're good, yeah.
Yeah, I was good on that. I did have something on 27, the 2 pictures.
Yeah, that's not downtown here.
Well, I was going to say, by the pictures, the majority of our sidewalks will never be an example of good walkability.
So for these pictures, we're limited by what we can use royalty-free. And I try to keep things as local as possible. So these are both in Maryland, they're not in Taneytown. But really they're meant to be more of just a general understanding, not saying that everything needs to be that wide, not saying that you need to have trees or barriers in between every street, but these are just different elements that that makes something more comfortable to walk versus why the one on the top is not comfortable to walk on and not safe to walk on a lot of the time.
Well, but what I'm saying is that the majority of our sidewalks in the downtown area would more resemble the top picture than the bottom picture. We don't have a lot of opportunity to get, and where it's spelled out as an example of good walkability,
Yeah.
we don't meet a lot of that.
But I think the two pictures are perfect in explaining what the issue is.
That's not a historical town and then the bottom picture either.
But, I mean, I think it just makes it crystal clear what we're talking about, so.
Well, but the top one looks more historical, and that's the example of bad walkability. So it seems like we're setting ourselves up as a definition of poor walkability, just because our streets look more like the definition of poor walkability as shown in our plan, as opposed to the good walkability.
But in our case, we're making the best of what we have.
We-
Here,
Yeah, but we can't make the sidewalks more.
no,
but this-
but we can restrict.
Yeah.
I mean, you said about putting a bench or chair out in the sidewalk or displays. I mean, we have control over that now because of ADA. And you know at the top here on that picture, that's not 3 foot. No, that's not an ADA.
Something Harry said a little while ago about your walk into, from your house to downtown.
Yeah.
That you're walking along 140 for a lot of it, with the cars.
Yep.
Going by. So, that's something that for new streets and city streets, we have the ability to modify our specifications. And, we actually had this conversation at the staff level when we were looking at the standard easement area that we get when a new street is built. Typically, there's a drainage and utility and public sidewalk easement that extends a certain distance off of the curb.
Oh, yeah.
So we get like center of the road to, a 10-foot travel lane, an 8-foot parking width, and then a 2-foot grass strip and a 4-foot sidewalk, and then, and then that's the end of the easement. We could specify something different so that you're not walking right along the road. We could specify a wider grass strip. We could specify that that's where the landscaping goes, and
Well,
we
and
leave the
we have,
utilities,
we
one
have
way or
that
the other.
flexibility in new building.
Right.
Most of what we're looking at is focused on downtown. And unless we're gonna start tearing all the buildings down, rebuild them 5 feet, 6 feet further from the road, we got, we
But
got
what
bigger
right.
issues.
But what has yet to develop, we have the opportunity to, to craft our specifications and ordinances to, to develop a different product if that's what we want.
Well, and I agree, and that's
think
new,
this
but
is-
you're not gonna get new in the space that we keep
Well,
talking about.
no,
But it's not
Right.
saying that.
right.
But the newer developments
But if we
that
want-
went those narrower streets and all, not like the older
Right.
developments.
So-
Lost a lot on the road frontage and stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, there's
On
certainly a
different
different character to the
No,
community village
I just
type
want us to have an
development.
attainable goal of good walkability. And if we can't attain the goal of good walkability, we shouldn't be showing the fact that this is what good walkability is. Look at it and wish.
Well,
It's not the
I would
only
maintain
example,
that-
it is a example.
that
Well,
most
but it
of-
gives
most
all
of
of
the
the-
city
the-
has good walkability.
I think we get the point.
Okay, again, we need to live with the physical reality that we have in most of the town that this is talking about.
But also guide future development.
Yeah, 30 to bike, yep. On the park.
I was gonna say, real quick on goal 3, a lot of these, our 2 main roads are state-owned, and we can't do any of that. We can't do traffic management on our 2 state-owned roads. So that seems to be where most of our traffic issues and things like that would be. So implement traffic management strategies, we can do that in the subdivisions with no problem. We just did. We just threw tables in there. We did all kinds of stuff. So, but arguably our biggest problems, and again, it goes back to, I keep harping on the same thing, unfortunately, the walkability and the traffic next to the sidewalks, we can't do anything about this goal on our two main arteries to get into downtown.
But you can do something about it on all the other hundreds of roads.
Which is fine, and that's what we're doing. But I'm just saying that our biggest problem children, we can't do anything, we can't do any of the things that are in here.
But years ago, you could do something without putting in a sidewalk. Years ago, we made everyone put in a sidewalk. I mean, a good example is out at Kraus Ford Sales, the sidewalk goes to nowhere. But it's there.
Yeah,
And it was there because we had it done, right?
yeah.
So what is your
So it
recommendation?
is getting better.
Do you have a recommendation, or?
It just seems like we're putting goals in that on our main problem areas, we can't do anything with the goal.
If you live on Amicus, that's not your main problem.
Well, I'd say to get to Amicus, yes, it actually is a main problem because you got to go on 140 to get there. So that's where I'm at. My question that I wrote on here was, how can any of these items be accomplished on our most congested and heavily traveled roads? And
Yeah, but they're
they can't.
listed.
So you want to put, except Baltimore Street, York Street, and Frederick Street?
I don't know what the solution is. It's just, again, it's just a vague goal that can't be accomplished in a lot of our area, in a comparative heavily trafficked area. Like I said, I'm prepared to have all my stuff shot down tonight. It's all good.
Bring it up. Let's move on. Unless-
I don't disagree with you about the state roads. I think maybe adding in text that specifies for roads that you don't have any control over, maybe it's more about advocating with state highway to work with them, taking records of places that are problems where there's maybe more accidents or it's less safe or why the walkability isn't good, and using that to advocate to the state to make some of the changes that you see what are needed.
And that would take care of a lot of it. Like I said, right now it's just an open-ended goal there's a couple of glaring issues with the open-ended goal, but.
Page you had.
I'm on 30.
Yeah, I got a 30.
Corner Park or whatever. Go ahead.
Okay, so on basically the first paragraph, we talk about the community survey and key person interviews. And we say that a couple times. We talk about the key person interviews. And I think it's kind of disingenuous to mention that. I would rather we just say community survey and be done with it, because I don't think the key person interview turned out as we expected. And I think I saw that 2 or 3 places anyway.
Understand what we're trying to say, Emily?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we can change that.
I've got I've got a couple. Sorry.
You're supposed to have a couple.
Bollinger Park is mentioned as a place for shorter bike rides, but there's no safe way for bikes to get there other than the
Yeah.
back of a car.
So I actually spoke to Lorena. She sent an email recently with some changes to some of the park stuff. And that was one of the things she mentioned is adding a little bit more language there about the fact that that doesn't exist, but it is one of the planned trails in the in that bike and walking trail plan that exists from the county.
And based off of what we've talked about, yeah, it works for some places, but one of the goals on 29 is talking about bike lanes, and then on 30, it shows why it's not feasible on our main roads. So we can keep it as a goal, but again, we've got an issue where the main arteries, we have no control over that, and we don't really have the space to put bike lanes in.
You're right with that, but we do allow, there's a cycling club that goes through Taneytown, once or twice a year? And arrangements is made by state, I believe, State Highway and all those to be able to use that. So it is accomplished by doing something.
Yeah, but it's not, the citizens aren't using it on the regular
No. But there is other options.
I rode my bike out Fringer Road all the time when I was a kid, just saying.
Well, but when you were a kid, no, I'm sorry, you left it
Had to
open.
worry about the horses running you every day.
Yeah, I was gonna say, you had the horses that are running at you. The other thing that I had was, the city's existing bus service is listed. I don't think we have one.
The city doesn't, but the county.
The county, right?
Yeah, okay, so if we can make that county.
Sure, y'all change that wording to be more clear.
And also I don't believe we have any signals that are on non-state roads. I mean, maybe Trevanion has the one, no, Trevanion doesn't have one there. But yeah, no, as far as I can tell, off the top of my head, there's no signals on non-state roads. So we don't really have control of signal timing and any of the things that are talked about. Unless we work with the state and.
So that can be
yeah.
right, advocate with State
Sure.
Highway.
Yeah, that's another advocate with State Highway.
Sure, absolutely.
It's another example of, the busiest roads can't do traffic calming, and the plan lists out as a solution and then says that it won't work for Taneytown. So I'm not sure why it's in, other than for other areas that aren't our busiest roads.
Yeah, I guess it's important and I think Jim's mentioned this too, is right, the plan is not only dealing with what's here today, but what might be here in the future. So while we might not be able to implement traffic calming measures on certain roads, right, unfortunately, we're the busiest roads, but if, for example, the Antrim Boulevard extension area gets built, well, maybe in that design, right, that incorporates traffic calming or would have things with regards to the streetscape that we talked about in terms of road widths and making sure that there's a certain design element with that. So it's about making sure that at least we're thinking about things for the future when those projects come up.
I'm up to 36.
Let me double check real
I thought
quick.
32 was good, imitation steps. I'm reading through this, I thought they were good.
I was gonna say, most of the stuff that I have on 32, I've already beat that dead horse, so we're gonna keep on going.
35?
Yeah, I'm a 35.
I don't.
I don't have anything here other than
35.
it covered well.
I got one on 35. Goal 3 basically says, keep doing what you're doing. Is that a goal, or is that?
That's reality.
Yeah, I mean, I know it's reality, but I'm just saying, is that something we're aiming towards? Is just good job, keep going, or does that count as a goal?
It says the city must continue
continue
to
to
support.
support.
And that's what
Yeah.
Okay.
covers it right there.
Yeah. Well, that's what I say. It just says, keep doing what you're doing.
Well, the goal itself also starts with the word develop, so that's an actionable.
Work out again tomorrow. Keep doing what you're doing.
I'm quiet till 43.
So on 36, we talk about the educational facilities and how the schools are nearing their capacity. And I guess I was just trying to understand how, when we look at a development, I mean, we talk about it, but, I mean, we don't not do a development because the school's getting crowded, do we?
No.
That's one of our adequate public facilities tests.
Yeah.
And actually, the school system is probably the quickest one to get back to us when we send out those certification forms.
But do they ever?
We do a residential subdivision, we do contact the school system when we get towards the latter part of the preliminary plan, and they'll certify whether the schools that will serve that community are adequate or not. We haven't run into an inadequate situation during my tenure.
Way back, maybe 10, 15 years ago, when they had the portables there was an issue. That goes way back.
Back.
That goes way back.
Well, not that far, but it goes back.
I was in portables there.
With the horses?
With the horses, yeah. I rode my horse.
On 37, just remember your trails are only supposed to be 5%. That's where I think we have a problem with Colonial Park, but whatever. Sidewalks and trails are only supposed to be 5% slope.
Page 43, is that the next page?
That's the one I've got, yeah.
Renewable energy, something like that.
Yeah, I just, I have an issue with the way that, that wind and solar is portrayed, just because while that was the promise, of, lower energy costs and such, it hasn't been bearing out, and it's been intermittent in many parts of the country and in parts of the world. In fact, the blackout that happened in Spain a few months ago was because of their renewable wind and solar not syncing up to the grid correctly. So I'm not sure what exactly we want to say on that front, but we're kind of over-promising on that, and I don't know how much we want to. I mean, state of Maryland wants us to do it, I know that. But I don't know how much we want to, like, really dig in on that, and make promises like lower energy costs and things like that.
I agree with you.
City down at the waste treatment, didn't we have solar? Or working on it or something?
Not yet.
But we're working on it, right?
No final decision. We basically had a recommendation from our energy consultant to explore a power purchase agreement with a provider because we didn't have the space available to erect enough panels to meaningfully offset the power demand of the treatment plant. And we weren't willing to dedicate park acreage to solar to be able to do that. So it's not a closed issue, but we haven't really been out there knocking on doors trying to partner with anybody right now.
We went down this road before. How many years ago, Jim? Didn't we?
It comes up every
And it was
5 or
addressed
6
that we were going to
years.
offset some of the operating costs for the sewer plant, and I think the same thing came up. We were going to put panels at the Memorial Park, and
It did go before council a couple times in the past 10 years, I would say. And, more recently, it was, the numbers looked good, but we didn't have the acreage to erect panels on our own land, that we felt like the expansion of Memorial Park was something that the community needed more than lower power rates for the treatment plant.
so back to Harry's point, are we going to keep what's in there, or are we going to revise it, or what's?
I think we should I think it should be in there. in one form or another, we should have it
And
listed
again, if
as an
it's,
opportunity.
if it's in there and opportunity presents itself, we're covered. If it's not in there
Just asking.
and, you know, and we say we do have the opportunity to apply for, you know, a grant to assist us with, you know, solar canopies at the treatment plant or parking lot, solar canopies, you know, at some city-owned parking lot. You know, if it's not consistent with our comprehensive plan, then we have an issue with our grant application. So it's generally better to keep something in just in case.
But does anybody really think that wind power is gonna be good in Taneytown? I mean,
No, I would say not, just because of the issue with the power lines now.
well,
And then by putting
But I
more-
think that study would shoot that down.
yeah, the one that I know is in Taneytown never spins, so.
Yeah, I know where that is. Yeah.
But, yeah, I mean, I'd probably be okay with solar, but I think wind is, and I'm not even convinced solar is the way to go or not, but.
I mean, we can just say alternative energy sources as well, rather
There you go.
than.
That would probably, yeah, that
Yeah.
would be perfect and
like
not
that.
spell it,
Yeah.
not lock it in.
Yep.
I'm
Perfect.
good.
Because who knows if something else comes down the pike.
Right.
Right.
I mean,
Nuclear power plant.
All right, good.
$50.
On 44, we have LEED. Is that defined somewhere? I know I looked it up to figure out what it was.
What is it again, Dave?
LEED,
The leads
Leadership on Energy and Economic Design.
design?
lead design, that's
Energy
a
efficient.
standard term.
Well, yeah, but it's not defined in here. I didn't know what it was.
Oh,
I had to look it up.
Yeah, I was gonna say, that's we probably should have a definition somewhere, but it's a pretty standard thing for every new building.
That's probably a federal type thing too, isn't it?
Anyway, if we could just
Federal
define it,
program.
that would be perfect.
Yeah, absolutely.
Here.
I'm not gonna worry about 47.
Okay.
See, I'm self-censoring as I go through, okay? I'd like at least a little bit of credit.
Little bit.
We don't know what you're
Little bit.
censoring.
Yeah, well, you don't wanna know. 48.
48.
Going back to the fact that from my house, which is not the farthest point in Taneytown from downtown, it's nearly a mile. And it's mentioned several times to promote downtown as a walkable hub. So I'm not sure, are we expecting people to walk a mile or more
You do.
to downtown? Yeah, I come down here for
there you
this.
I'd expect them to use the public parking and walk down.
I see people doing that every day.
Well, but we don't talk about parking anywhere. In fact, we talk about reducing the reliance on parking. So I agree that most people would park and then walk within the downtown area. That's what I would do, especially on like a night like tonight. I drove. But we talk about reducing parking, but yeah, so we've got just the way that it's set up. Like I said, promoting downtown as a walkable hub, you gotta drive to get here, but we talk about reducing parking, reducing reliance on parking. This area does not have a tradition of biking to locations and carrying goods back home. So how are we, this seems like we're trying to change the way of life of Taneytown, the way that it's described in here. How are we proposing that that's a thing? Or is it just another goal that just hangs out there?
Kind of what you're talking about is covered pretty much on page 52, and my thoughts there is, why do we put so much thought and time on businesses? So many empty storefronts, like I say, other issues. Shouldn't we think more, move towards converting to residential?
Well,
Cities
but
that
if you,
has nice-looking
but if you,
residentials
but if you convert to
downtown.
residential, you've negated half your
You
plan.
have, but then,
That's it, the half the plan that's in here talks about making it the economic hub, so
how long has that been happening?
I've got my own arguments on that front, but yeah, so that's, I mean, we can talk about making it residential, but that's a fairly hefty turn.
And it's a big change from what come from. Past.
Downtown residential, all residential, no storefronts? No.
I think a lot of the surveys that we did get back were,
You
they
gotta
would
drop
like to
some of
have a
the-
downtown.
Some of the codes, but other than that, codes are tough.
We can change it. I mean, I just, as you read through these, I was thinking, how much effort is going into trying to revitalize 3 blocks, basically? And when you drive through other towns and cities, just see how many businesses are open on their main drag. Just a thought. I'm not saying make the change, just a thought.
And again, the plan isn't necessarily a snapshot of what we have today, it's what we hope to achieve. And it's a big lift, admittedly.
I had one on 49, it's just a tone thing. The whole thing seems to be written from a third-party perspective of Taneytown will do this and Taneytown will do that, it doesn't feel like it's our plan, it feels like a plan that Taneytown got put on.
So you need the word "we" in there somewhere?
I was gonna say, if this is something that we, the citizens of Taneytown, are doing, should it be from the perspective of we, the citizens of Taneytown, versus just a third party, Taneytown wants to do this, Taneytown wants to do that. Again, it's just a tone thing, and it's probably just me being a pain in the butt, so.
I'd be okay with that.
That was just, by the time I got to page 49, that was something that I noticed, and it became a pet peeve enough for me to write it down.
Before we leave downtown, and wanted to circle back to one of Harry's comments about the walkable downtown. You know, I don't think it's necessarily saying walk from any place in the city to downtown, but that when you're downtown, downtown is now walkable. And kind of circling back to the overarching theme of like implementation steps, if you want to make, say, downtown or something to mention in the plan, you want to make downtown more walkable. We have, you know, 2 substantial parking lots, but one of them is kind of isolated from a pedestrian standpoint. You go park, you turn up Riffles Lane or Record Lane and park in one of the 90-some spaces back there, and then you don't have a sidewalk to get back out to the main street. You know, that could be like a recommendation to improve walkability. So that, just
Well,
thinking
but
about your, you know, your
My
concerns
only,
about
my only,
vagueness and
my only
such.
counterpoint is it doesn't say downtown. It says Taneytown. So we're talking about it talks about a walkable Taneytown. And that's where we've got to widen our view back out. And this is what we've talked about at other times tonight, is there's a great big chunk that's not that particular area, so.
Well, I thought you had mentioned the walkable part in relation to the downtown portion of a little bit back, but.
Page is 54. 54 is, yes, we do have an Old Town design standard that is active. I think that's a good point that was in there.
I'm on 55, so is that all of the historic homes that we have or spots that we have in Taneytown? It's only 3?
So this map was updated since these are the only ones that are on the National Historic Register, but we discussed it, I think we discussed it with Jim and added, there were a bunch of homes that are listed elsewhere, not on the historic register. A lot of them came from the previous plan, but we did add a bunch of those back in.
Okay, cool.
I was gonna say, but I've kind of got an overarching on some of the historic stuff. Just because we talk about, it talks in goal 2 on 53 about expanding the heritage tourism and things like that. We have 3, I think we need to kind of make a differentiation between historically significant and historically interesting to the people of Taneytown. I mean, a prime example is the one house where we got the story of how the particular school teacher used to live there and things like that, so we really need to preserve the house. It's like, is that historical, is that a significant historical thing, or is that we all have a sentimental attachment to that particular house because half the people over 60 in the town had that teacher or something like that?
Yeah, we just want it to be beautified up to what it should be.
Well, but we've also, we've got, that's when you start looking at private property rights and things, so.
How many is on the National Register?
The 3.
It was 3, but I think and Emily, correct me if I'm wrong, but and Jim, the other properties that were mentioned, I believe, are those CARR numbers, which are under the Maryland Historical Trust. So you have the National Register, but then you have properties that the state recognizes, which is usually a lot more.
I'd like to put a lot more on the map.
Well, but we need places that are, again, that's the difference. Is
If they're recognized by the state of Maryland, then that's.
Yeah, if they're recognized by the state of Maryland, then go ahead, go ahead and drop them on the map here. But I'm just saying, in general, as a town, we seem to have a slight blind eye to, this is really interesting to us, and so it's historical, versus something historically where something happened, or this was a historically person or some event or something like that happened in this area. So we just need to be cognizant of that when we're looking at historical stuff.
Yeah, well, and typically, there would be different levels of historic resources, right, of significance. And that's actually in the implementation goals is maybe creating a historic overlay district and have protection standards, and what are those, what's that criteria that makes something historic? So that's a discussion and policy that's made, by the city.
My only other thing was on 55, the map. Is it correct? I brought this up another time, because some of the areas that are designated within the historic district are like 20-year-old houses. So I'm not sure how that all needs to flow out. I don't think it's a particularly I mean, I would imagine the map is probably right, but we may need to look at that ourselves to figure out exactly what the boundaries of the historic district are, and if they actually contain historic things, as opposed to houses built in the late 90s.
If I may, and Jim, please correct me if I'm wrong, but is that the Taneytown Historic District designated by Maryland Historic Trust. So if that would be to change, the state would have to change the actual boundaries of that.
That's why I'd like to verify it first.
Yeah, the blue highlighted area does look accurate compared to the boundary that I'm accustomed to from the map that used to hang on my wall.
Yeah.
So, but yes, there certainly are modern structures that wouldn't be contributing to the historic district that are included in the district.
Do those modern structures have restrictions then because they're in a historic district?
They would be subject to our design standards, but as we've shared before, our standards are largely about compatibility with the immediate surroundings and the character of the building in question itself. So,
I mean, because
but yes,
technically
if
all
they
of...
were to change the footprint of the building or the height of the building, doing something that requires a county building permit, those would be the triggers under which the design standards would apply.
Yeah, because technically, just as an example, the higher density houses at the corner of Baltimore Street and Harney that got put in a couple years ago.
Right.
Those are in the historic district.
They are, right. And they were subject to the standards. And another example, I guess, is one that I think is very successful at a very good example of following the standards. The house that was built by Habitat for Humanity a couple of years ago on East Baltimore Street. I think that's an excellent example of something that fits in with the community that use the design standards very well. It's a semi-detached house, so 2 dwellings in the building, but it fits very well in that neighborhood. And as far as Taneytown Crossing, they are a little cookie cutter, but through the standards, we got them to provide the front porches and the dormers on some of the units and things that were kind of respectful of characteristics of, the architecture on West Baltimore Street. So it, again, it did, I think, help us get a product that fit in a little bit more with the character of, for Taneytown Crossing of West Baltimore Street, and certainly with the Habitat House on East Baltimore Street. So they do help.
So on the, back to the historic places map, it's not a requirement that we have to be certified by the state of Maryland or National Register. That's not a requirement to put in our document here. I think, isn't there a brochure downstairs that has a walking tour of Taneytown that talks
There
about?
is a walking tour brochure, yeah.
Yeah, and there's like 18 houses or buildings on there. I mean, I don't see why they couldn't be listed as what we can, I mean, if we, the city of Taneytown thinks it's historically important, then it is. So.
I think that might be something that would follow, if there were support to create a local historic district commission. I think that's something that body would evaluate and, and determine, these things are, locally significant, to us, rather than it being at this, like a state designated or a National Register designated property. But I don't know that, I would think there should be some set criteria for a property to be recognized, and not just what, well, not necessarily those things that just have architectural interests that are highlighted on the walking tour, for example. I like the idea that you could, if there's appetite to move in that direction, that you could have sort of another layer of things that are of local, historic significance or interest. But I think, that, to Harry's point, that's probably not going to qualify for an individual National Register listing. Right. But it may be significant to, the residents of Taneytown.
Cool.
My next is 59, looks like yours is too. Goal number 1 is already in code, and it has to be done. goal number 1 on 59 talks about the population expanding and expanding, especially the police and emergency services. That's already in code and has to be done. So, again, we can keep it as a goal, but we got to do it anyway. I mean, it's going to happen.
Maybe that would be a continue to ensure, but the green block next to it would something like, revisit adequate facilities measures periodically to ensure something like that that's a little bit more actionable beyond what we're currently doing.
Yeah, that would work, just to make sure that our numbers are still what we need them to be for.
Right, because we may not, as the composition of our residents changes, as our, communities evolve, we may find that different measures work better for us. It may not always be 2 police officers per 1,000 people, or the level of service that we consider acceptable for an intersection may not always be what it is today.
Also, I see it here, and it also ties into one that I had on 62, so I'll combine 2. The fire department, and this is for my own knowledge, the fire department is not the city, correct?
Fire department is under the city ordinance.
But,
Town code,
but I think oh, go ahead.
I'll let you take this one, I'm talking too much.
No, you're fine. I think what Harry's meaning is, does the actual Taneytown Volunteer Fire Company roll up under the city like the Taneytown Police Department, and the fire department is under the county? More, well, it's more under
EMS is.
the EMS, right, EMS. But it's not, but the fire department's not under the city, like the police department. Thank you, the EMS is,
sir.
but, I mean, the rest of it's volunteer. You have,
Taneytown Volunteer Fire Company is whatever it is, the state county all under the county.
Yeah, no, because just because in here it has us as the town ensuring the fire services keep pace with the population.
Listed under their,
But does the town have anything to say about it?
Yeah, they can limit the building because the services aren't increasing.
Okay. No, I mean, I'm just making sure that it's something accurate that we keep in there. I'm big on trying to make things as accurate as we can.
stay the way it is.
Well, on that first paragraph, with the little light green there, it says, as the population expands in Taneytown, utilities and public facilities must expand. So to me, it should read, as the population expands in Taneytown, utilities, public facilities, and services. So it just seems, when I think of facilities and utilities, I don't think of services. I think there are 3 different things, and I think they should all be listed in there.
Got it.
I go with that.
Yeah, we'll add that in.
Yeah, because that goes along with the police and such.
Then on goal 3 in the little light green block there too, I guess I wouldn't, it says by identifying organizations with common goals. To me, it seems like it said we should identify common goals of community organizations. Instead, identifying the goals, not the organizations. It just, I don't know, it just didn't seem right to me.
That was a grammar one I wasn't touching.
Yeah, yeah. But
Comments?
It took me a few minutes to find it in the code, but I just did want to point out that the city code does recognize the Taneytown Volunteer Fire Department, even though it labels you wrong, instead of company, is hereby recognized as the fire protection unit of the city for the prevention and suppression of fire. So you're like our designated agency.
You're it, but we can't tell you what to do.
Right, pretty much.
But the city does contribute to their, right, to their,
We typically make a
annual-
donation to
Yeah.
the fire company every year.
yeah, yeah. And in some communities where the volunteers aren't available all the time, right? Some cities and some towns are actually hiring drivers, full-time drivers that would get the truck to the fire, and then the volunteers show up at the fire. So, I mean, there are other measures in extreme situations that you might have to get more involved than what you currently are.
Page.
I got a 62.
Okay, go ahead, so do I.
You might have the same 62 that I do. I just wanted to verify that the wording of the mutual aid agreement paragraph was correct. I don't know anything about it, but I wanted to make sure that check with our resident representative of the firefighters to make sure that was actually correct.
Mention anything in there about fire department, but we do have mutual aid. We do
Okay.
Update mutual aid.
Yeah, I guess it does. It's only
Yeah.
police on that, but.
Yeah.
Actually,
I was gonna say, it talks about police there, but it talks about police, fire, and emergency services and the actual goals, so that's what set me off on it.
part of the county's mutual aid.
Yep. I'm good till 71, so.
I guess my question for 64, what does the city actually do for, I know the city doesn't really have an open house or any type of open community type thing, do they? We invite the city in for anything or any event as city function?
Every one of these meetings.
Turnout, but that's good.
Hey, it's better turnout than it usually is.
Doesn't the parks invite them?
I couldn't remember. Pardon me?
And we got a lot of parks, good parks.
Okay. Anything else? I mean, anything doing with the interaction, the intergovernment of the city?
But I think this also means too, like intergovernmental with the county. So we have our liaison planner that's usually here, and different things like that.
I was reading the gray areas, but okay.
Can I go back, sir?
Sure.
So, on page 60, where we're talking about public safety and community well-being plan. Not sure if it belongs in here or not, but the way the county and the fire company operate now, it's a little bit different than it used to be. And I don't know if this is an opportunity for us to put that into words, what the county does and what the volunteers still do. And the background behind that is we send out solicitation, we get comments back all the time saying, well, why should I donate to you? You're funded by the county now, which is not even close to being the truth. So people don't really know what the truth is. So I don't know if this is an opportunity to put a paragraph of, who does what and who pays for what or whatever, but I just wanted to put it out there. If you guys think that's something, maybe we can consider that. I can bring it.
Yeah.
Oh, actually, I gave a copy to the mayor, so.
Maybe want to follow up on that later.
Yeah.
I'm at 71, so. Okay.
Let's see here, what page is
So
63?
before we get too far away from page 60, do we want to try to incorporate some language about the transition and how the volunteer companies, specifically Taneytown, are still private, volunteer organizations? Something about support.
I would like to do
like
that.
a couple sentences or, a short paragraph about that. Try to work something in there, I think.
And just talk about how they rely
For
on
the,
donations,
What, I mean, we can provide you a couple letters that we wrote as a response to people. You can look at them and
Okay.
pick from
Okay.
that. I think they're pretty factual.
Yep.
Yeah, that would be great.
So I can't find where, I had,
Why don't we put that together, forward to Andrew, and let Andrew forward?
Yep.
thank you.
That
Sounds
cover it?
good?
Good? Very good with that?
Yes.
Sure, y'all are the ones on that.
Okay.
I don't have anything to do with the fire department other than giving them my money.
We appreciate it.
I can't, I got a note on this page over here, but I can't find it over here. But I wrote down, why did we just call out scouts instead of other organizations like 4-H? I don't know what other youth organizations. Oh, there it is, right there. Partner with schools, scout groups, and youth serving nonprofits to offer or promote youth mentorship. So I guess it's okay, but I'm not sure, are there other youth groups that are, I guess, in use? It's probably okay.
I was gonna say, technically, we do stuff with, I don't know if it's covered under any of the other categories on there, but I know FFA's done things at the park and stuff like that.
Yeah, we can expand that to make it a little bit more all-encompassing.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I'd probably vague it out a little bit on the individual groups.
Okay.
And sorry, what page was that on? Is that 62?
Correct.
Or is that 60?
62.
62.
Third bullet down, under goal 3.
Okay, perfect, thank you.
Okay.
Yes.
74, no.
I've got some stuff starting at 71, but it looks like you've got some earlier.
71.
Hold on. Reading to make sure.
It's up, I have to read the whole paragraph again to figure out what it's, but that's okay. So we talk about,
Page is it?
so we, page 66, we say a county planning liaison attended every meeting. So I don't know if they attended every meeting.
Or most meetings, majority of the meetings?
I'll be fine with that. I mean, it's just
Sure.
not, they didn't, I mean,
Invited to all meetings.
Yeah, we'll change that.
so I got around a number of paragraphs on this page here, just saying, is that true, and fact check. So I'll have to go through and look at it again to see what it was, but stakeholders interviewed for this plan consistently praised Carroll County's strong support and responsibility. I mean, did they say that? I don't know. So it just seemed like in this area here, there was a lot of stuff where we were claiming agreement by everybody and everything's all in good, and I'm not sure if it's true or not. Yeah, I mean, I'll have to go through and figure out, I'll have to read it again, figure out what I was talking about, but
71,
on page 68, we have a acronym TIZ, which I assume is a targeted investment zone, maybe?
Correct.
But it's not defined anywhere that I saw.
I think we may have done it earlier and then just forgot to do it on this page as well, because I agree it should be on this page also.
Only one I had for 71 was this is where the definition for affordable housing got changed up.
Got it.
Yep.
yeah, down to bottom, the term, defining the term.
Yeah, defining the
yep.
term, defining the term differently than we defined the term earlier.
Right, just be consistent with the state's criteria.
How'd you go with the 30/60, right?
Yeah, yeah, it's the 30% of the 60,
30% of the 60.
of the 60 of the, yeah, carry the two.
Go faster now. I don't have any other comments.
We got to the end of yours.
I ran out of.
I had on 72, I had written here, do the housing age stats take into account Meads Crossing?
No, because we don't have that data. Well, I guess we technically have some data from the county about the number of houses that were added, which we do mention in the demographics section, but we didn't include that in this other data, things like the housing age, just because all of that comes from the 2020 census data. So we were trying to keep all of that consistent, all of that additional data consistent, and keep that 2025 count out of the 2020 data.
Okay. Yeah, I know some of the Meads Crossing went up in 2020, but a lot of it got occupied in 21. I was looking at one of them.
Have anything about the community village overlay zone?
I didn't, but I figured that we would, when I saw it, I figured it was okay as it was in here, and we can change the specifics on our own, not in the comp plan. Because I think I think
I think you did.
Okay, I'm good.
I was gonna say, I'll start nitpicking something else if you really want me to, but.
Good, okay.
I'd have to read it. It's under community priorities. We talk about community priorities, and then we outline all the ways that we're going to go against them with the plan. Is that what we want to do? At least that's the impression that I got from the community priorities concerns section. Is we put the priorities, and then we said that everybody wants to do something else that isn't that. So
I put a note there, how, and then infrastructure, invitation steps, rental properties, and maintenance standards, all under that area.
I was going to say, I think there's there seems like there might have been a lot of questions on that section.
I don't think we list anything in here about maintenance standards.
Is that a thing for the comp plan?
I think we were talking about rental house maintenance
Yeah.
standards.
Okay.
That was in our,
Yeah, somewhere.
came in from our
That's
survey.
yeah, that's in there on page 74.
I
Yeah.
read so much I can't remember where. So we okay if that's the way it is?
Should maintenance standards apply to everyone,
Yes. I just had them all.
not just rentals?
Where do we have that listed? listed somewhere that we
74.
want maintenance standards?
I do not remember seeing that, no.
Thought, and I wrote it down. Craig, you
So
remember
we'll
any-
modify, so right now it's on,
Strengthen rental property maintenance standards through zoning code changes or taxation strategies to ensure a high quality of living and cohesion with Taneytown's small-town character. The bottom of the left-hand column on page 74.
Yeah, there it is. It's under goal 2.
Why didn't you turn the page?
so we want to expand that to not just the rental properties, is that correct?
Pardon me?
I
Don't-
would say general property maintenance.
Don't limit it
Oh,
to rental
right.
properties,
So I
right?
think you would, right, so there's an existing, where it is, I believe we have adopted a county code that's the county livability code, and that has maintenance requirements for residential rentals. So maybe that strengthened rental property maintenance standards is applicable because, you know, there are standards that are out there that we have adopted, but we don't have anything for owner-occupied residential properties. So maybe it's, you know, strengthen the rental ones and consider adopting universal or, you know, broader maintenance standards, something like that.
So is that up to the council or to us to put that out there?
So ultimately, if it was, it would be a legislative thing for the council. Yeah,
Something we can make a recommendation to.
right.
All right,
I'm on 74. And this was just my own ironic note, that goal 3, at the bottom of it talks about getting public input to maintain community cohesion, and then the rest of it talks about things that the community keeps saying they don't want. So I like the way that it says, use public forums, surveys, and neighborhood outreach to build support for that. It's like, instead of measuring what the support is, we're trying to influence the support. But I'm just, like I said, it just struck me as odd that that the community keeps the community keeps saying don't do these things, but we've got them as all of our goals under community cohesion and getting public opinion. So that was just my own observation. I don't think we can really do anything about it because it's a lot of it we kind of have to do. So it is what it is. It was worded in, just tripped me in my brain as we were going through it. My next up is 82, so I'm good.
all right. 82?
Yeah.
Wait a minute. Back on 81, 80, 80, and a couple of these others. There again, I don't understand why these tables can't be brought up. I mean, and you use the census from 2020. I mean, that's 5 years ago. We ought to be able to get something that's more accurate.
I was gonna say, but the problem is that you don't get this, you don't get this kind of
I know.
demographic information except once every 10 years.
Right, this level of detail, right.
Well, it's not only the geographic, it's also about the income and.
Yeah, I was gonna say, all,
I mean, all
yeah,
these tables.
yeah, all
So-
the demographic stuff is gonna be
5 years
once
old,
every.
5 years
It's
out
gonna
of
be
date.
5 years, 6 years out of date because it's only every 10 years. So
Yet
we
you
can't really do much about that, unfortunately.
make a projection, in 2070, we're gonna be over 10,000.
I've got something about some of that here in a second, so.
I guess I'm still hung up on why we can't get something more realistic.
Well, just unfortunately, it's, and, I mean, Aero guys, tell me if I'm wrong, but it's just based off of whatever hard data we can actually get our hands on for that. And we can say, about the only thing we can say is we've gone from 7,200 to 8,400 population, and we might be able to say how many units we added because of the county has that info, but anything more granular than that, we're not going to be able to get till 2030,
That's right.
unfortunately. It's part of the problem of us doing this in the middle of the decade as opposed to the beginning of the decade.
Next time this happens, it's gonna be 2035 or so, and to already,
We're
by
gonna
then,
have the
it's gonna be
exact-
15
we're gonna have-
years old.
We're going to have the same, basically, we're going to have the same issue unless we align more with where the census data comes out. So maybe if we look to, and this again is something else we can look at, but if we look to update in like 31 or whenever the census data comes out, I figured give them a year to get everything out. If we update again in 31, that puts us on a good schedule to use the latest data. An idea, again, not for tonight, not for this.
But this data is only one data point too, right? So the whole plan isn't based on this, on the information comes from this data. So it's just additional information used.
Well, but the problem that comes in is when we start doing projections, like we did on 83,
Right.
where we don't have the Taneytown population projections on there anymore because they were wildly off, but we've got the Carroll County and the Maryland population projections on there going forward, and that was kind of where I was coming in on the bottom of 82. Where again, we say as of 2020, but then we make a lot of statements about our growth based on the 2020 numbers, but it's all wrong already. So that's where I don't know what the right way to go about it is, but most of that last paragraph, it doesn't hold water because it was before Meads Crossing, and Meads Crossing added how many thousand? Most of at least 1,000, 1,200 to the population. So,
Probably 900,
well, I was just saying, I'm just going off of the numbers that are on. I mean,
because we also had Meadowbrook building at that time, so.
but then same principle though. So we're basing a lot of the projection stuff. This is why I've got some issues with the projection side. It's because we're basing it off of the 2020 numbers that we already know. The projections based on the 2020 numbers, we already know were wrong because our population's at the 2040 level based off of what they were doing projections for already. So how do we reconcile this? What is the I don't know what the right way to reconcile it is, but it seems like we need to figure out something because it's not. We're making projections based off of data that we know is already out of date, and we're making generalizations based off of data that we know is already out of date.
So the text that's in there now was before we had inputted those additional, the projections that we had not done at this time, because we had just gotten that county data with the 8,255 number. So since that time, we have updated that section. It mentions the 2020 data and talks about, again, why we use the 2020 data, but it does have projections based more off of the 8,255 number. So
Well,
that section has
but
changed.
it talks about, as of 2020, the city's growth rate has already slowed significantly compared to previous decades. Correct, comma. Right after that, we're already running at 14%. That was at 7.5%. We're already running at 14% for this decade. So we're right back up again. So that's what I'm trying to wrap my head around, is we're making projections based off of we've got different things in different places. We got rid of the population projections over on 83 in table DP7 because we already knew those were out of date. But we're talking about how growth has slowed significantly in the narrative of the projections, when we know that that's not the case, though.
Right. So the reason that data is blank on the table on 83 is because we didn't have that yet. But
Well, I was going to say, that's because they're basing their data on 2020, and they're not going to have that till 2030. They're not going to have new data till 2030. I'm just saying that the narrative on 82, we know, while yes, technically as of 2020, but that gives the wrong impression of what's going on in the town. And if somebody's reading this to actually use as a guide for what we're doing, oh, growth's slowing, we could absolutely add stuff.
So I think the best way to address that is to, number one, recognize that growth was slowing, right, until some recent developments. We can talk about Needs Crossing in particular, and how that, how one development can really skew, particularly in a small data set, how one development can really skew the projections and the numbers and the direction of the community. So I think if we recognize that, look at those recent developments that occurred after 2020 and try and reconcile it that way.
Yeah, because in the first paragraph under population projections, we say forecasted population growth is expected to stay low, only growing by between 6.3 and 8.5 for the next 50 years, and we're already at 14 for this decade. So
Yeah.
that's like I said, if you're just reading it and you're not looking at the tables, you get an entirely different impression of what's going on in the town. So I'm looking for consistency, and that's been a refrain of mine for a while on a lot of stuff. But I'm just looking for consistency on how we present some of this stuff. I would probably get rid of the forecasted population growth from that first paragraph, just because it doesn't apply anymore. We know it doesn't apply. And based off of, we happen to know what's on the horizon, assuming that water and everything else can be met, we know what's on horizon with development. It's not gonna apply even after that, because we're gonna be adding a chunk more if everything goes through that's on the books right now. So that's basically that's where my problem is that we're showing something, and we got rid of the projections on the table, but our narrative is still relying on what those projections used to say, that we know are wrong.
Harry, I don't know where we're going with this.
I just want it to be like consistent.
I agree. But you can only use what you have available, right?
right.
So as long as we indicate somewhere that this is the information as of this time, this date, whatever, and that's what we need to work from.
Come back in 2031, 32, or whatever,
Right.
that'll be updated.
Right, and
There's
just
not
to
anything we can do now, other than stipulate what time we're using this data from.
Okay, I mean, we're using forecasts that we know, we're listing forecasts that we know are wrong. So if we're okay with having facts in here that we know are wrong, then okay, let's rock and roll.
We just know, we just need or we need to define the dates that we've got this data from, and we're from there.
If I can just clarify a bit too. So what's in this plan, which is from September 8th that you have, what was in there was before we got the updated numbers. So we did not have new projections done. So the text on 82 is based on the old projections before we had the county data. We have since updated that to have new projections based
Okay.
off of the county data. So that has changed, and some of that text talking about the 6.3 and the 8.5, that has changed because our projection changed.
That probably would have shut me up about 5 minutes ago.
All right, I'm sorry I wasn't clear about
Yeah, I was gonna
that.
say, just let me keep on trucking, but okay.
I'm sorry I wasn't clear about that.
So between this date and July of 2026,
No, we're solid. We're solid based on what she said. They've already changed it. It's not what's listed here. So we're solid.
all right.
89. And it's only just a mention of the
Map.
map. Because it's the same map from the before, or at least a version of the same map that from before that's got the commercial stuff.
Okay. Jumping ahead, you guys down to
How's this say?
Randyville area.
And then, yeah, and then 92.
I'm
but
jumping
yeah.
ahead from what you guys just let me know. All right.
Okay.
Next one's not to 105, because I'm not even going to get involved in the traffic count.
I was just saying, my only question on 101 was, is there any newer data anywhere for this?
Nope, that is the most recent that we were able to find. Unfortunately, a lot of those smaller roads just have not had updated traffic count numbers in quite a while.
Yeah, because I mean, most of these traffic counts, it looks like the majority of them are 2012, so that's,
If there are more updated numbers, I wasn't able to find them.
okay. That's fine. That was just, that was my question, because I know we got, it looks like we did one before we did the improvements to Roberts Mill in 2022, and then it looks like we did one on Trevanion in 2022, but wow, Stumptown, there's one that even goes back to 1991. So, but yeah, so that,
All right,
yeah.
next one's 105. Is there anything for 105?
Go for it.
Okay, 105 is Plan Street, Worthington Boulevard. One's going through Mountain Brook.
That would be the one that would go from Flowserve across to Fringer Road.
What, all that was going to be changed to Antrim Boulevard.
I think from Flowserve across to the southern portion of the city, back to the current terminus of Antrim, we talked about that staying Antrim all the way through. But I don't
Would
think
we
we ever
change it?
talked about the northern part.
Why would we change, if it's Greenway or bypass, why would we have two different names for it? Why wouldn't that stay as Antrim Boulevard all the way around?
Certainly make that a change. I mean, I'm sure, you know, historically it was probably named because Worthington Pump is who used to be there, but,
Worthington on that map you gave me.
Or the map's outdated.
Damn.
It was pretty old.
so instead of Worthington Boulevard being its own planned street, do we want to try to merge that in with language about Antrim Boulevard?
I would like to see it.
I think that'd make more sense, yeah.
Okay, that's a consensus.
Okay.
Okay.
I got a 107.
Good.
I'm good with that. Keep on trucking.
Page,
I'm at 107.
okay, go ahead.
Just a note on Roberts Mill, talking about how it would connect the existing segment of Roberts Mill to Harney Road, and that would be For that to be a connector, it seems like there's an awful lot of physical limitations on that road, starting right after Taneytown High Park with that single lane bridge, and then it gets really tight on the other side. So, I mean, I don't know if we want to say that that's going to be a connector and linked to that. I know it does say that it would prevent it from being functioning as a major street, but anyway, that was just an observation on that.
I thought it was okay.
Take or leave it.
Okay. Page,
I'm on 116.
117, go ahead.
Let me turn, make sure I know. I just wanted to verify on 116 that the officer numbers are correct as of now. I don't know them off the top of my head. We've got 15 officers and 2 civilians at police listed in here. I didn't know if that was the actual the correct numbers, because I know we've been doing some hiring and everything else. So
We'll double check.
yeah, that was just a double check.
Yeah, I think last time I spoke to the police chief, he said 16 officers, but I'll double check again just to see in case there's any updates since I last spoke to him, because that was
Yeah,
a little while.
that one was just to double check the numbers, make sure we're right on it. My next one's 142, so.
Okay, I'm back on 117, Public Safety, Fire, and Emergency Medical Service. October 2020, Carroll County established the Department of Fire and Emergency Medical Service, combining 2 departments under one organization. Actually, they didn't combine 2 departments, they combined 14 departments because it was county-wide.
Yeah, I don't think that's accurate.
Yeah, I saw that. I didn't comment on it because I figured I was not the expert on that and I would let you take it.
County-wide,
EMS, yeah.
14 fire departments, 13 EMS services. Look
Okay,
that in
yeah.
there somehow.
Yeah, we'll make sure to update that.
Okay. 118, where it says table down at the bottom left, 118, it says table CF5. I couldn't find CF5.
Yes, that was one that we had in the beginning, could not get complete information on. So we removed it for now to see if we could get additional information. As of now, we still don't. In the meantime, we've kind of rewritten that just to explain the apparatus we do know, rather than putting it in a table that would be incomplete. So it's changed a tiny bit since that time.
I'm a quickie on 142 and then something more on 149.
I'm up, my next one is 121. Bottom left, Taneytown Volunteer Fire Company, Station 5, serves all of Taneytown and Grove area. But not only does it serve Taneytown and Grove area, it also serves Keymar, Keysville, Detour, Bruceville. It covers whole area. I
Could probably add and the surrounding area,
surrounding areas.
and that would cover it.
That would cover all those.
We even go to the links.
Pardon me?
We handle the links up there. On the other side of Harney.
So you're saying Taneytown, growth area, its growth area and.
And the surrounding areas.
Surrounding area.
Okay.
Yeah, I knew you'd hit this section, so I didn't even bother.
The other ones belong to fire company. 122, had the 12 vision again and converted back over to the 8
Principles.
Got it.
139, I just made a comment there, the table's 5 years out of date. And we talked about the tables in the time, so we don't need to worry about it. 144, what did you have?
I had 142.
42?
Do we want to make it,
Okay,
excuse me, we've got the key economic areas. Do we want to make that match what the zoning for it is going to be, or what are we looking to do with that?
matching it with what, say it again.
It's another mismatch with the zoning.
Ah,
So I don't know, since this is the key economic areas, technically, again, I pointed Hoffman, there's, technically that's farm right now as an economic area. So that, as of right now, for economic, it could be nothing, but I don't know if we want to match it to, because in our code, it can be zoned as residential, commercial, but also used for agriculture. So, so that was my only observation on that one.
comments, Jim?
I think if we update the zoning to reflect what's on the current map, I think that would fit for this being
Okay.
an economic area.
It was just
development
something I
area.
noticed.
Yeah.
I got 149.
Got 144, top left, downtown business supports low traffic pedestrian ordinance. What do you mean, low traffic? Talking downtown. Support low- Want it to do, or is that what its intent?
What page are you on?
144, top left, first,
Maybe rather than saying low traffic, maybe low intensity, something like that.
it needs
And-
something
and,
there.
Yeah, the zoning,
Well, I think they're talking about, it's, the low traffic is referring to the retail and service area, not the on the street.
How can you support, what do you mean, the word supports low traffic?
Yeah, the downtown business zoning district supports low-traffic, pedestrian-oriented retail. So it's talking about, I would think that would be talking about the pedestrian traffic, not the road traffic, but just the way that it's worded.
Maybe we should say provides for rather than supports. Maybe that would make it more clear.
Okay, Jim?
or maybe just drop the low traffic and just keep the pedestrian-oriented retail and service.
Yeah.
And I think the intent paragraph in the zoning chapter for the downtown district has some language similar to that personally I don't care for. And it's been pointed out by other people that if they read the intent of that chapter, they would be discouraged from, locating a business there. So it's something we probably need to revisit. But I think that language might have sort of carried in here a little bit.
But I think too.
Getting close to the end, fellas, for everyone. Something else, we're getting close to the end.
I was gonna say, I've only got like 6 left for another 60 pages, so.
149?
Yeah, I
Have
just,
two.
again, I'm just, we've already kind of talked about this a lot, but the heritage tourism, I'd be interested what the actual, if we had any actual numbers on heritage tourism for the area, or for our area, as opposed to like the greater area, since we know there's a big old heritage tourism right up the road. My next is 159.
I had a note here, target investments, but I didn't highlight anything, so I don't know where I got it from.
Is that target investment zone?
Yeah,
Yeah.
TICs are referenced on that page too.
Where's that at?
It's the right-hand column in the second paragraph down. Talks about the target investment zones.
Who handles it and all that stuff?
That's through the heart of the Civil War heritage area. There are target investment zones within that boundary, and Taneytown is one of those. Basically, there was opportunity identified for investment that could improve heritage tourism.
Mine was a quick one on 159. It's another map. Just verify, since it's got the housing districts on it, but just verify that that there's not commercial sneaking around in that housing district that's not listed there. Next is 161.
I had a positive note on 158. I think going in the right direction for the city. So that's a positive thing, whatever that meant at the time. I remember I read this back. I didn't make all my notes clear. What?
Yesterday.
No, I didn't. This took a lot of time. 161?
161, just another example of affordable housing definition. It matches the one on 71, but not the one at the beginning.
Okay.
My next is 173.
I had a question on 161, just a question. 7 rentals over 1.5 million?
So, sorry, what page?
161, one of your charts.
And what was the question?
You got 7 rental units. That must, I guess, the value must be 1.5 to almost 2 million. What does that represent?
That's, 1.5 thousand to 2,000 for monthly rent.
Monthly rent. So we got properties in town, 7 properties that have much value?
According to the census data,
Okay,
It's 1,500 to 2,000. It's not 1.5 million.
Definitely.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, not 1.5 million.
Right, you're right. I did that wrong. 163. I had a note there that we wanted to change, instead of basing housing on gross acreage.
Yeah, we did talk about that.
We didn't want the housing lots based on the gross area of the site. We wanted to do it the net area. We didn't want to count all the wet
It was the net,
areas.
it was the net usable area.
Usable area, yes.
Yeah, as opposed to all of that wetlands that you can't build on anyway, counting towards your housing allotment.
Right.
We want to, is that something we want to put in here to change?
We should.
I mean, that's,
It's-
Yeah, we had talked about
that's
that.
something big that's going to have to be changed in the ordinance, right?
Yeah.
Change the ordinance,
It
right?
would, yeah. But it would begin in here as a recommendation and then be supported in the ordinance change.
You okay with that, guys?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
One, 168. Question about the long-term water demand for 10 years out. How we get, water tank is what we're talking about to meet that demand, the new water tank that's in the budget?
That's been on the records for years, but we just haven't got it.
What we're showing it here, that's what I'm asking, is it part of this 898,000 gallons?
Yeah. I took it for that.
Well, that's not necessarily storage. Just
That's
overall
that's
ability to
throughput.
produce
That's
that
through,
much.
not storage. But
But storage is
I
a
would imagine by
component
the
that
time we
need
get to that, yes,
consider.
we're gonna need that other tank, but we would be following DPW's lead on that.
Okay. $80,
I got 73 real quick.
$173.
Just a note on the picture caption. Mayor Pro Tem Fuller, not Rem.
Oh, yeah, I'll fix that. Thank you.
No problem. Yeah, that was, I just happened to catch that as it went by. I'm next up's 180.
Okay, I'm on 180.
But before I say anything, have the projections changed for this so that I don't talk about it?
Yes, this table matches the one in the demographics section, so this has been updated also.
Okay, so that was, yeah, because my comment for 180 and 181 was
Yep.
these numbers don't exist. So as long as we've got the new stuff in there, that crosses that one off the list and no more dead horse being beaten.
188.
182 map, just double check it because there's some issues. I'm out.
188. 88. Development policy and vision of the future character. I just said that was good. I like that. That's a positive note, I think.
One on which one?
Develop down the bottom left, last paragraph. 188.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
I read the positive things too. And that was my last one. Anybody else have anything? Any comments? Are we okay now making, I guess, the next thing we read will be the final on these sections, correct?
Correct? Yep.
I'll need another day off again and I'll read it again.
It took me 2 weeks.
Mr. Chair, if I may, I have several comments, and Mr. Wyprecht and I were just mentioning, if it's all right, I will forward you all my comments that I have. And if you agree with them, we can button them all up and send them to the consultant.
Your comments match our comments?
Several, yes. Also, just to throw out there, the growth area looks to be different from what the growth area was in the 2010 plan. But no, a lot of the same comments with the zoning map, the land use map, because in the end of the day, the land use, the zoning will implement this plan. So have the land use map, have a good land use map of what you all want to see later down the road, the zoning to match up with that map, because zoning implements planning.
Yep.
But just little things as well. Not a big deal to bring up here, but there were some things that you mentioned that I saw as well.
Greg and Emily, you okay on what we just finished?
Yep.
Yeah, that was very helpful.
All right, we're moving on down to the agenda. Final draft plan to be completed based on the feedback. That'll be coming up, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Next thing's submit municipality growth elements to the county once final changes are complete. What are we talking about?
So the county wants to see the municipal growth element first before they see the rest of the plan. So once we have that all buttoned up, we can send that to them. It's a 30-day period where they have to comment, and then we can get those comments back from them, discuss them, and implement what needs to be implemented.
I was gonna say, yeah.
We will, we'll get to that. Once we finish this, we'll move on. All right. Comments from the floor.
Yes, I got a letter from Taneytown. Sir,
State your name, sir,
Larry Danner,
residence.
5313 Taneytown Pike,
Okay,
cross and flow serve.
gotcha.
They're supposed to build a bunch of houses back there behind me. And I understand I can't be an island. I don't want to slow nobody's progress down, but I want people to realize I'm old, I'm on limited income, I got about $2,000 in the bank. I can't afford to move even. That's my situation. If you want to annex me in town, do it free or buy me out or shoot me or something.
Some, one of the staff,
And annex, I was gonna say, you actually can be a bit of an island in that.
Sir?
You actually can be a bit of an island in that regard.
Oh, I can?
Yeah, I was gonna say there, because the place where the houses are behind you is already annexed, so. I mean, tell me if I'm
I'm
tell me
all
if I'm
right
wrong, guys.
staying like I am.
that's- Andrew or Jim, one of you would like to,
So with annexation, with moving through this process, the master plan process in the growth area, so that you have the city of Taneytown municipal boundaries and the growth area. And the growth area is really how the furthest extents that the city would grow in the future. And currently, right now, if you don't want to be annexed and you're in the growth area and don't want to be annexed, you don't need to be annexed. But then there was discussion about or talk about an island. So you can't have an island, a donut, or an enclave. But if you have like a little tiny sliver of land, if all the properties around you couldn't annex if you did not want to. And per state law, you cannot have a donut in the middle of the city. But right now, with current policy, if you don't want to annex, you don't have to.
Not that I don't want to, it's I can't afford to.
Right.
Jim, can you bring that up on the screen somewhere or not? His property.
Let me find it first, and then I'll ask Dan if he can share my screen. Are you the last rancher across the street from FlowServe? Let me just make sure I've got the right one here. Oh, Dan's already got it. Okay.
That should be it there at Brown.
Somewhere out there, one of those houses.
Yep, that's it.
So at some point, the properties that are along Taneytown Pike that are not annexed, depending upon what might annex around them, you might be asked to come into the city along with other properties. I would imagine.
All the houses there is in the city. I'm like the first house in the country.
Right. So if the property behind you, for example, were to annex,
Well, I understand.
your house would have to come in at the same
around.
time. Right. It's the reason that you're not what's considered an enclave right now is because when we annexed the Sewell Farm, we didn't annex Harney Road. So there's still a little sliver of county so that the properties that are between the Sewell Farm and most of the city are still in the county. And it's almost completely encircled by the city, which the state doesn't allow. But because we didn't annex Harney Road itself, it was allowable. So you're still sort of connected out to the county through Harney Road. But I think that you will probably get some pressure eventually, you know, when somebody that owns property around you is ready to annex for your house to come in as well. In a scenario like that, what we've
I
seen.
thought I was holding the whole works up.
Well, if you don't object to it, you know, you could be sort of bundled in with a bigger annexation. And I think that if we do see, you know, that area that's kind of between the Sewell Farm and the rest of the city, if we see that annexing or any big part of it, I think we would want to try to bring everybody in at once. I would imagine that the cost of that would probably be borne by the biggest property owner that would be driving the annexation in a situation like that. But until,
Yeah, he was out and talked to me. I said, well, you know, I don't want to slow progress down,
right, so
but
typically,
yet I
right,
can't afford to.
sure,
you know.
right. And the impact would
For
be,
sewers in my house, if these other houses do it all same time, that's fine. But like I said, I have no money.
right. So if and when we get to that point, you know, we certainly will have what part of the process is developing an annexation agreement. And that would talk about, you know, if there are going to be fees related to connections to water and sewer. And what we've seen in the past is houses that were, you know, houses that existed before they were annexed to the city, that when it came time to connect them to water and sewer, when that was available, typically fees had been waived as kind of the part of the deal for them to come into the city. But that would be something we would talk about when we worked up an agreement for, you know, what the city would provide, what, you know, the property owner was expected to do, if anything. You know, but I think that if there was pressure to annex you, I think it would be related to, you know, larger properties around you coming in. So,
Eased your mind there a little bit.
Sir?
I hope we eased your mind a little
A
bit.
little bit, yeah.
Thank
I
you.
thought maybe I'm have to live in a pup tent.
Hi, name's Mark Frizera, here with my partner Darren Barnes. We own 3212 Harney Road. It's 35 acres, wraps around the corner. That does happen to be the property that Jim, I think, was referencing. I've met a couple times with Jim about our property, and it was actually Darren, who's behind you, who met with you, came to your place.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so, and let me put that to the side for a second, because the reason that I'm here primarily is, and maybe if you don't mind, Jim, could you pull that drawing back up, that aerial back up?
actually, Dan, thank you.
So at the corner of Harney Road and 140 is the facility that we don't own. That's a rehab facility or whatever. But our property wraps around that and then includes that whole the whole field there. That piece that's right there, right where the arrow is designated in your land use as commercial. The strip that goes along Harney Road is designated as R10,000. What we would like to have the Planning Commission consider is a future annexation for us of that corner, including both of the frontages, and making them commercial. We feel like it makes sense for the piece where the arrow is right there, which is already designated as being commercial, and then that other area which has some downed buildings and has an old silo on it. That area we feel like makes sense to be commercial as well. The history was this property was owned by Mr. Harner for a long time. He sold it to Wilson Bounds some years ago, 5-6 years ago or whatever, and then we bought it from Mr. Bounds 2 years ago. So that's really the primary reason that we're here, is to suggest that the commission consider that the corner that fronts on the two two roads becoming commercial. We worked with our engineer and had some drawings drawn up, and we've had a meeting or two with Jim just to preliminarily discuss it. We'd be very open to, being annexed for that. Previously, with all that was going on with the Mountain Brook subdivision and the Sewell farm, we had also met to discuss the potential to annex us, the whole property in there, particularly the commercial area that's a little further down towards the Bean property. I think that would serve to clean up some of the enclave, not enclave issues that have gone on with some of those properties there. We've talked to a couple of the people that aren't currently in the town. They were receptive to coming in as well. So again, I know you guys have been here for a while, so I don't want to keep you for long, but I just wanted to say we're open to that. We think it would make sense. We think that those, making that corner commercial makes a lot of sense, and we'd be open to it. The piece to the left, I guess to the left, if you will, of our farm is currently commercial in the future land use plan. Certainly think that's going to make sense if Mountain Brook comes along and puts all those houses there. Even if Sewell does or does not. Certainly if Sewell does, then, clearly I think there's going to be a need for commercial. We would be open to increasing that amount of commercial property if the commission thought that was a good idea. Jim and I also had discussion that the balance of the farm in the future land use is R20,000. I think that there was some thought that making that R10,000 made some sense based on future infrastructure costs, although I heard the flip side of that up there today. So, we would be, we'd be fine with whatever the will of the town was for that. So, and as it speaks to this gentleman, I mean, certainly if we were coming in for a larger annexation, he was willing to come in. If there was costs to be borne, we'd bear his costs. So.
Timing's
Okay.
good. Your
Yeah.
timing's good. Timing's good.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
for the commission, if this is something that, that you'll entertain, what would be involved would be updating the land use map to show the different boundary between the residential and commercial portion of the property. And again, if I think the current land use shows I don't remember if it calls it medium density or suburban residential, that would equate to R20,000 zoning. So if the commission was, interested in entertaining that if and when the rest of the property came into the city, that it would come in as R10,000, like the Sewell property or Mountain Brook Farms or Meadowbrook, you name it, pretty much anything that's developed outside of Taneytown Crossing in the last 20 years has been R10,000. That would be something also where we would update the land use map so that whenever the annexation was pursued, we could bring it in with that zoning and it would be consistent with the land use map in the comp plan. So, and we can
Next
share
meeting, we'll talk about it.
we can share the sketch plans that were shared with us by Mr. Frizera and give you kind of an idea where the line on the map would go. And, there were a couple options discussed. We'll put them both in front of you and maybe get your feedback at a future workshop.
Good. Sounds good. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Paul?
Paul Cluth, both a resident and business owner in town, as you well know. I actually had a question for Emily, if I may. So it's been a long time since she went over the survey results, very accurately, by the way, in the past from the residents and the respondents. I just wanted to ask Emily if she felt that the current comprehensive plan that is now drafted, if it fairly accurately reflects what those survey results were?
Yes, I feel that they do. There are some instances where thoughts were divided on some things such as, denser development or development downtown. Some of that was kind of 50-50, or not everybody was really in agreement with that. And I think that's to be expected. But a lot of the comments from the survey reflected a lot of the same feelings of everyone on the planning commission and a lot of the goals and the plans that are in this plan.
And it wouldn't necessarily matter whether it was a projected low-cost item, for going forward, or whether it's pie in the sky. You've really tried to capture those thoughts, to the best of your ability.
Yes, yeah, we really tried to look at, big picture things and some of the nitty gritty details that people did bring up, because there was a lot of both. And I hope that we did a good job of reflecting that in the plan, because there were a lot of great comments we got from the community surveys.
In what I've read, I would agree that it did seem to capture it fairly well. And I wanted to emphasize how important that is, that, at least at this juncture, the wishes of the community should be well reflected in the plan for the going forward. And of course, things will obviously change. I guess my next question is from a protocol standpoint. What are the stages where it'll be put in front of the city council for final approval?
That would be after the Planning and Zoning Commission recommends approval, and then that would go to the legislative body to adopt.
Okay. Yeah, just want to get a kind of a sense. Yeah, that's all. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Comments? Anybody from the committee here? Looks like our next meeting, this meeting, is December 16th, is that right?
Correct.
Yep.
And January the 20th, 2026.
The December meeting, we may not be live streaming, just so you're aware of that.
Okay.
Oh, yes.
Planning and zoning is Monday, the 24th. Possibly January the 5th, possibly.
Yeah, as I say, that's what I thought, we had that as needed on the 5th, just to make
Right.
sure if we needed to cover anything that happened in December.
Right, if we have anything that is submitted, that's an action item that would have typically happened on our December meeting, we'll meet January 5th. But if nothing is submitted, as far as an action item, we'll skip December.
I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to adjourn.
Second?
Second.
Second by Barry. Further discussion? All those in favor of the motion of adjournment signify by saying aye. Those opposed, nay. Carried. Thank you, everyone. I appreciate the time you put into this.
Sorry, I didn't get homework done.
I don't want to do it again.
I guess we're